Oi, oi, guys. Hope everybody's having a good one. I thought I'd sit outside back there. Some rain was coming in. Bit of a, I wouldn't say a storm. I don't think I've heard any rumbling, but it's lovely out here. It cools the air down a little bit when the old rain's come in, so it's quite nice sitting out here in the back, listening to the rain. So you can hear that bit of rain in the background because it's quite nice. I was going to do a meditation, but I'll probably do it after this now. Get into some meditating and sit with the sound. But I've been really into some research around this shifting that's going on, and I tell you what, it really is about entanglement in an old you and stepping away from an entangled old you, which is not an easy thing to do. And it's about recognizing language that you use to yourself too, because it's about being in control and having choice as well. It really is about getting in touch with the new you completely and pulling away from an old self. And there's a lot with the old self that I don't like, that just keeps on interfering and it keeps getting in the way. And it's because that represents some kind of a safety, some kind of a foundation of something, and which is wrapped around that, not being able to let it go, which is that like safety aspect, like this is protection or something. But unless we're aware of it, unless we're really conscious of this thing that I'm just starting to see now, as far as the interference, well, I'm not going to say just seeing it, I've been seeing it for a while, but it's fairly new within my journey of seeing the old self creeping in and trying to sabotage the new you going forward. Because there's nothing that old self wants to do is to pull you back into that old self. It takes intent, it takes dedication, it takes going into some of those areas that we may not even want to walk into to be able to discover what this new self may even represent. You may not even know yourself right now, but it's right there. It's right there. They say that it's always there. It's just that we are not putting our mind in that right direction. And the more I see that I'm doing on this journey, yeah, does it get heavy? Yeah, it gets pretty heavy. I've had some pretty heavy moments lately. I ain't gonna lie. It's been creeping in, and that old Steve has been, whoa, really? Really pointing a finger. Really pointing a finger and getting in the way. And all that's going to do is take away from the growth going forward, because it's tying into that old chemistry. You're literally going into your body and you're bringing back an old chemistry of things from pasts or things that may have been said to you, and you had that feeling come on of fear or anger, and if that's happened in past, then that's a message that you got to something. And it's quite easy to have something that replicates that situation and you go snapping back into it in modern day. Bullying is a prime example of that. I was bullied a lot. I go into rage. I got some pretty heavy rage issues. But again, it's the recognizing of when that is coming on to get a control of that. It's something that I work on daily. Daily. It's not one of these where you start to feel better and you give up on all your tools and you don't do your meditations and you don't get out, and trust me, you slip, understandably. We're all human and we will have those slips, me included, absolutely. But it's what are you going to do with that? Are you going to fit back into old Steve? Am I? Or should I say, am I? Not you. Am I going to go back into an old Steve? Am I going to pull victim? Am I going to say it's everybody else or everything else around me? Trust me, we all do it. And that's another thing to be conscious of. Because if you pull into that victim mentality, that anxiety is going to get really bad. It's just going to take off. And then you start spiraling. But it don't end there, does it, guys? It don't end just with that. We have all the other comments that we give ourselves that really don't go well either with our anxiety, and it pulls us down even further. But just remember this: by seeing an old self and by stepping from an old self into a new self doesn't mean that that old self completely goes away. There is still aspects of that old self that I love, that I've taken with me into my Cockney Buddha self, because that's where I'm at right now. I'm in the Cockney Buddha self. There's three different selves to me, anyway. With me, there's that childhood self, there's that Steve self, and there's the Cockney Buddha self. The Cockney Buddha self is the one that's pulled and is moving. The Steve self is the overprotector, the one that keeps on even looking at Cockney Buddha and going, I've got this, I've got this, especially when it comes into anger. And then there's that child self, to where it's another area to pay attention to, because if you're going into that child mind, start looking at where these things may come from. They say that we're programmed. At 7 years old, we've taken in a lot of programming and a lot of information up to that age, just at 7, and it carries on from there. And you can still get programmed in your adulthood as well. I have guys that come in front of me with some really, really abusive, toxic, manipulative and controlling relationships, and you just don't see it, because it can be done in a way to where it just becomes the norm. It just becomes part of. And that's the pieces parts that's the bit to break away from, is looking, seeing, being able to have a self that you want. And the only way you're going to do that is by pulling from an old self and moving forward into the journey, onto the path, onto that PPA, the positive progressive action, and that PMA, keeping that PMA mind and moving forward. Moving forward. Each little bit helps. Every little bit counts. What you're thinking, remember, as soon as you start saying you have to, or I've got to, or shoulds or shouldn'ts, you start taking away your control. You're not in control anymore. It's like someone pointing at you and telling you to do these things. I have to. I should do. And now you've got that in your mind. You get up in the morning and say, I have to do that. You've put that there, that you have to get that done. It's way better to look at that thing and say, I'm wanting to get that done. I'm going to work towards getting that done, because it keeps you in control. Hope these videos help you guys. Please, please, please go and hit that like and subscribe, because you're really helping me out. And yes, you are definitely helping out a ton of other people. I've had people that comment to me about these videos helping them, and I'll tell you what, it's an absolute blessing. But I can't do it without you guys putting it out there and helping me out to help others. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Stay that course, guys. Namaste.